And the motherfucker took a shit in the backpack. Not once, but twice. Get that fucking belt off of him. It's the better show. He's got what they call them vast grip hands, baby, if you will. Shut up. Just shut up. God damn, is that good? Is that good or is that good? Seriously. Well, surprise, surprise, everybody. I'm back. I know, it's been a long time coming, and I've been slacking like a mofo. And I'm not going to make excuses. I'm just going to say that I'm back, baby. Man, what a night. Just got done watching NXT TakeOver War Games, and woof. My initial picks may have been off 3 out of the 5, but I mean, I'm actually okay with that because it means it wasn't as predictable as it could have been. Could have been far more predictable, and I could have gotten every single one of them right, which might not have been bad per se, but might not have been the greatest thing ever either, because when it's super predictable, sometimes it's pretty boring. That's WWE's issue in the long run anyways. So, it was really good. Like, you should watch it. Said it before and I'll say it again. It's the better show. And I wasn't even really all that excited about the War Games match just because I'm like, this is PG era WWE. What are they going to do to really, well, they shut me up. Because they did a lot. I mean, with that many people in the ring, they should have done a lot. It was crazy. But I'm not here to talk about that, though I'm still going to kind of talk about that. I'm here to give a preview and predictions of Survivor Series, which is tomorrow. Well, tomorrow by this recording, who knows for when you end up listening to it. And I keep telling myself every time there's a big event, or any event really, I'm going to record one of these. I'm going to record my predictions for who's going to win and give you a rundown of why I think that and etc, etc. And then I never do it. I was going to do one for NXT as well, but one thing led to another, and there are no excuses for it. I just got really lazy last night and didn't record. So I'm recording now after having already watched it. I mean, I guess it's okay because, as I said, I flubbed 3 out of 5. But hey, enough about me. How about you? See, now, for Survivor Series, the pre-show, the only thing I've heard announced is Enzo versus Kalisto. And I'll be honest, I don't know what else there's going to be on that, so I can't really make too many other predictions. With the Enzo versus Kalisto thing, it's finding it really hard to care just because with Neville gone, 205 Live kind of broke my heart. Mind you, there's still a lot of great talent on there, but they're just, as long as they're going to build it like the C, D, E, or F show, nobody's going to give a shit. Some of the most talented people in the world are on that, and they're not going to do anything with them. And they put Enzo on like Enzo's going to build it up and make it way better, and it's like, but it's Enzo. How much better do we really think Enzo's going to make it? I mean, how do I know? The product could be 10 times better now, and there could be way more people watching it, but I'm not watching it, and that didn't make me jump anymore to watch it. So I don't know what the order is going to be, but I know what order I wrote them down in, so you're just going to have to work with that. So, first match, probably going to be The Miz versus Baron Corbin, the Intercontinental title versus the U.S. title. I say probably because it might be something else, but actually if they really want to start the show off with a bang, they'll probably start with one of the tag matches. But anyways, Miz versus Corbin, I'm thinking, honestly, neither one of them has been built to look all that strong at all. The thing is, Corbin has been built to look like a monster but a loser. The Miz has been built to look like a coward. And yes, there is the opportunity for the Miztourage to slip in, which could pull it in his favor. But honestly, I believe Corbin's winning this one because Corbin's whole thing right now, he can't really, I don't know if he can really take the hit and be okay. Whereas Miz still got the belt, still got the Miztourage, still got other things going on where he could probably survive it. I don't know if he's going to, but he could. The Usos versus the Bar. This match has a sleeper hit written all over it. And I can't really call it a sleeper hit because these are two really talented tag teams. It's just the Usos are super over and the Bar are just starting to scrape into the over territory. I mean, Cesaro's phenomenal. He's seriously one of my top 5 guys in WWE. He's just... There's no question how talented he is in the ring. And how criminally underutilized he is for the most part. And in this case, they're going to probably steal the show and put on one ridiculous match. But they're probably not going to win it. Only because they're two singles guys thrown into a tag team versus the Usos being a tag team. And there's also the fact that I just think this show being SmackDown versus Raw, SmackDown is not going to be able to... I'll explain to you more about that, actually, as we go. It's going to be... SmackDown needs bones thrown to them. Otherwise, it's going to be a complete washout. And I think this is one of those times where SmackDown is going to take the lead, and SmackDown is going to, get the win. The Shield, the actual Shield, no Kurt Angle, no Triple H stand-ins, no nothing. The actual Shield. Roman Reigns is back from being sick. Hooray. I'm sure you can hear the overall excitement in my voice. But this match also probably going to tear the roof down. Like, the whole place is just going to be... The place is going to explode. Because this is the first time we've seen the Shield all together in a match since they did the whole reunion thing. And the New Day obviously works well regardless of who you put them in there with. And you put them in there with guys with the talent that the Shield has, it's guaranteed to be, like, 5-star. This one, anybody can say anything they want about how, like, well, the New Day is really over and they're a big thing, so they probably... No, folks. Because the Shield is the Shield. The Shield is the new hotness. The Shield is the gold. The Shield is the Shield. And they got Roman in them. Roman's tea party with his friends is not going to get squashed by the New Day. They're just not going to. The New Day is going to look good. They're going to put on one hell of a fight, and that's going to make them look quote unquote good. But they're not winning this. They're not. There's no way that Roman's group is going to fall in this case. There's no way. Charlotte versus Alexa Bliss. I'm excited for this match. I'm a little upset that they took the belt off of Natalya, not necessarily because I don't think Charlotte deserves a title run. She does, and I'm okay with that. It's just, it coincides way too obviously well with the Ric Flair 30 for 30 and the fact that he just got out of the hospital and everything. It's too convenient, and it doesn't have that heroic thing written into it. It doesn't have it that way. Of course, this is also me, Mr. NSFW, my middle name being bitter as fuck. But it has the setup to be a really good match, and I think it's going to be a good chance for Bliss to actually show what she can do. I mean, she's been in there with really technically sound wrestlers and everything before, but this is Charlotte. Charlotte's going to push her just like Sasha pushed her. And even Mickey pushed her. Like, their last match was phenomenal too. So, I mean, and it's just, Bliss is just getting better day by day by day by day. But remember the thing I just said about the 30 for 30 and the Ric Flair and the heartwarming story and everything? Yeah, Charlotte's going over on this one. The women's 5-on-5. I went over this a bunch of times, really trying to decide who I thought was going to get the rub on this one. Because, just, again, I'm thinking about the fact that SmackDown has to get a few nods, but they can't get all of them. But likewise, Raw can't have a complete steamroll of a show. They actually need to, Raw needs to lose some, SmackDown needs to lose some, and they need to make sure that nobody looks super, super, super deflated, super weak, or anything like that. But they do, obviously, there needs to be some sound victories. The problem I'm having with this one is that there is a mystery partner or member of the SmackDown women's team, which, of course, with the rumor flying, it's going to be Paige. Might be Paige. Paige's comeback marks one issue that the Raw team has Asuka. They are doing what they should do and building Asuka as a machine, and she's unbeaten, and I'm hoping they're going to keep her unbeaten. But it's going to be really tough to do that when we bring in Paige. Because you don't want Paige to make her comeback at the pay-per-view, have her be on the team, and then have her get squashed by Asuka. You don't want that. I don't want that. But likewise, I don't want Asuka to lose in this match. The only thing I can think of is that something's going to happen that gets Asuka taken out of it. So she doesn't technically lose. She's not eliminated. She's not gone. Or she's gone, but she's not, taken out physically. So it doesn't, no pinfall, no submission, no elimination, doesn't count, doesn't ruin her anything. I mean, there's a lot of people saying she needs to go in there and just be pure hellfire and just lay waste to everybody. You can't do that, because then you are burying the entire SmackDown women's division. And that's not right for them, that's not right for anybody. And Asuka doesn't quite need that much of... Asuka's gonna make it. She's already made it. She's made a name for herself, and all she has to do is just keep being her and just keep winning. She doesn't necessarily need to steamroll an entire division to look good. But like I said, this was a really tough call for me, because I was like, I'm willing to be wrong on this one, and that SmackDown's special surprise entrant is going to make all the difference. But I'm honestly thinking with Asuka on the team, plus I'm pretty sure Nia Jax is on the team too. That's Asuka and Nia Jax. Those are the two biggest threats in the women's division, and I cannot see either of them really getting trampled. So I'm saying that Raw's going to get it. I honestly believe Raw's got this pretty well in the bag. We move on to the men's 5-on-5, and I'm going to say it's probably fairly redundant here, but I think it's going to happen with them too. But here's the thing. There is the potential for SmackDown to pull this one out as well, because, Shane McMahon and all of that talent with Randy Orton, Bobby Roode, Shinsuke Nakamura, Randy Orton, might have already said that. With Randy Orton, Shinsuke Nakamura, Bobby Roode, John Cena, and Shane McMahon. With that kind of star power, obviously pretty clear that SmackDown has a pretty good chance to win. Not a guarantee, but a pretty good chance. But Raw has Braun Strowman, Finn Balor, Triple H, Samoa Joe, and Kurt Angle. This is really I think this is just going to build into the inevitable Triple H versus Kurt Angle at WrestleMania thing. I feel like this is building towards that, so that's going to cause difficulty there. Recently, with Jason Jordan getting taken off of the team and him being hurt, a lot of people seem to think that Jason Jordan is going to cost Team Raw the match. I don't think he is. If he costs anybody anything, he'll cost Kurt his part in the match. But even then, I don't think he's going to. My vote is that I think he's going to get himself in there, he's going to get in the way, and Triple H is going to be bullshit until, he's going to beat up his son, or beat up Kurt Angle's son, and then Kurt Angle's going to have to step in, and that's going to cause difficulty there. But even so, that's still only taking out two people. And one of those people that's in the match, still, besides them two, is Braun Strowman. You can't build Braun Strowman to be a nuclear bomb and then have him go in here and just get beat by just any old person. Especially not for Jason Jordan getting in the middle. I mean, it's a Survivor Series match, so it's elimination. So even if Kurt Angle gets taken out due to something with Triple H and Jason Jordan, still more to go. And also, I believe Raw has this one because, number one, if it's a battle between the two shows, the red brand, the A show, is naturally going to have to take first place. It has to. That's the way WWE thinks. I think everybody's going to get a fairly good showing. Nobody's going to get completely squashed, but Raw's coming out on top on this one. Because not only do I think it's because of that and Braun Strowman, but I also think it's because this Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn thing, where I think they're going to find a way to cost SmackDown. Maybe not even cost SmackDown. They may just do something to fuck it over for Shane McMahon, which I'm also okay with, because the more Kevin Owens and the more Sami Zayn get in the middle of everything, The bigger they get, the better it is. Because I love Kevin Owens. And I love Sami Zayn, and I feel bad seeing Sami Zayn get absolute nothing for what feels like the past 300 years, when it's actually only been a couple, but still. And the whole thing of them getting sent home from the UK tour because they're unreasonable and they're hard to deal with, no. Maybe they did get a slap on the wrist or something, but I'll be completely honest. I think this just is... I think it's work. I think it's a way to work into their angle of working against Shane McMahon and against SmackDown, and basically going into business for themselves. I really believe that that's what they're going to do. But, I mean, again, I could very, very easily be wrong. It could genuinely be a fair match, and the screwy outcome, quote-unquote, could only happen just from somebody in the match. Triple H could cost Kurt Angle the match just because him and Stephanie are upset and think that Kurt Angle's been doing a terrible job. Braun Strowman could go completely crazy and just demolish everybody. I mean, Samoa Joe and Finn Balor have had rivalries, so there's a very good chance that they could just go ahead and throw down with each other and end up screwing each other out of the match too. There's a lot of moving parts with this match that I think could potentially lead to a decent swerve one way or the other. I mean, ideally, I would like it if it wasn't necessarily a swerve, but it was a genuine match. But a swerve is really the only way that either one of these teams is going to be able to save face and not look like the quote-unquote lesser brand. Because we don't want them to do that. Because it's like, oh, well, I'm going to watch Raw because Raw won the Survivor Series, and why would I want to watch anybody else? It's... I don't know. Building up this rivalry to me is just silly anyways, because it's a rivalry that has no effect on anything for 90% of the year. And then we get around to this time of year with the Survivor Series, and all of a sudden, Raw versus SmackDown, and it's a big deal. Tell you what I miss. I miss the old Survivor Series, like when it was all 5-man teams, and they were just hokey and campy as shit and just silly. I'm like, just throw it all out the window and do that. They won't. But it'd be great if they did. Because I think it would be hilarious seeing people go around and try to recruit members from every side, and hey, can we get you on our team so that we can team up, and we're gonna beat our and then they have the shtick, like the flag behind them and the silly name banner and all of that stuff. Like, just it was so bad, but it was so good. And I miss those days, and I really wish they'd go back to that for Survivor Series instead of doing this Raw versus SmackDown thing, because you can't really build up a rivalry when you're not being rivals throughout the year until now. Though I think it was SummerSlam, they did the thing with Daniel Bryan and Kurt Angle arguing with each other over who had the better main event match, and and of course, what would any big-name pay-per-view, one of the big four, be without a Universal title match? Although it's not actually for the title, because it's title versus title. It's the Universal Champion Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles. It was going to be Jinder Mahal, but AJ beat him. And for AJ's sake and for the company's sake, I'm thoroughly glad about this, because Jinder, the failed experiment, didn't really need to go into this thing. The only reason why I'm not happy about it is because Brock Lesnar's not losing until WrestleMania, when he loses to Roman Reigns. This is all angles lead to Roman Reigns beating him. Doesn't matter who's there. Doesn't matter how many people how many bodies you stitch together to make the red carpet that Brock Lesnar walks across to the ring. because it's all being done so that Roman can beat him and be the ultimate guy. And because of which, AJ's going to lose. Now, hopefully it ends up being like a barn burner and we have a legitimate match. Hopefully we have an AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar and not a Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles. Now, the difference between the two is AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar means it's a Styles match. Means there's going to be spots. There's going to be a lot going into it. There's going to genuinely be a wrestling match where you may actually think there's a chance AJ can win. If it's a Brock Lesnar versus AJ Styles match, it's AJ gets in a couple of things of offense. Brock Lesnar backwards over the head lazily tosses him a couple dozen times while the crowd counts, gives him an F5, and then pins him. And that's it. 5 minutes, 6 minutes, maybe 7. Although, I don't know, AJ's kind of small, so it may actually end up only being like 3 or 4. I mean, unless there's a chance that somebody really gets in the middle of it, but I don't think they're going to. This is probably going to, just for this point, this is probably going to be one of these quote-unquote match for the ages things, just because they need to do that at least once. That we need to revamp or revitalize Brock's overall, I don't know, marketability. Because I'm hoping I'm not the only one saying this, but his shit has gotten so stale. And it's made worse by the fact that every time somebody comes in with this glow and this look about them, like, and there's this, people are celebrating the fact that they are, you know, the next big thing, or like, oh, this is a big deal. This guy's going to dethrone him. I actually think Brock Lesnar really likes Samoa Joe. He likes the story, and he likes all the back and forth that they're having, and it's good, and he thinks it's going to be great for ticket sales, and it's going to work out well, and he wants to keep feuding with him. Just kidding. He wants to F5 him once and never fucking talk to him again. Braun Strowman is a monster. The man has flipped an ambulance. He has destroyed vehicles. He has thrown the Big Show through a cage door. A wall. Not even a door, a wall. He has power slammed people through tables, driven them through guardrails, power slammed Kane through the ring. He has imploded the ring, superplexing the Big Show. He has survived attempted vehicular manslaughter and survived being crushed in a trash compactor. Took one F5, lost the match. The motherfucker defies life. He looks in the face of the Almighty and spits in it and goes, and his heavy-ass riff plays. And everybody goes, oh my God, he's a monster, he's huge, he's incredible, he's the next big... I mark my word, he's going to be a fucking doorstop is what he's going to be. Not even, he's going to be a stepping stone. He's going to take one F5. He can be murdered on pay-per-view, but he can't take a fucking F5. One F5 is that's it. Look, I appreciate protecting finishers, but not at the expense of a build like the one Joe had or the one Strowman had. I'm okay with this. The problem is we have given this kind of a build to Roman Reigns. The man has been put over by every single possible fucker you can find. This Shield thing is like the last hurrah, but it's not even the last hurrah. It's one of the last hurrahs that they can think of. Like, how do we get him over? How do we get him over? Oh, put him back with those guys. Everybody loved him when he was those guys, and he's with those guys, and he's still not fucking over. He still gets booed out of the building every time he picks up the mic. When the three of them come out, people cheer. Rollins picks up a mic and starts talking, people cheer. Ambrose picks up a mic and starts talking, people cheer. Roman picks up a... Done, turn that down. Yes, sir, whatever you say, boss. Yes, sir. I'll make sure I turn those down. Nobody's booing him, I don't know what you're talking about. Sounds like this cheering for Roman Reigns to me. Ugh. It's funny, because I actually wasn't planning on going off on the whole... we're going to see Roman Reigns go over Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. The thing is, just Brock's going to win this match at Survivor Series tomorrow. He's going to. There's no way he's not going to. And with him winning it, he's going to go on to face some other stepping stone at Royal Rumble. And then he's going to move on to take on... See, here's the only thing, though. Sorry, you just had to sit there and deal with my train of thought wreck. Roman Reigns... This basically means a guy from SmackDown has to win the Rumble, because if Reigns wins it, number one, there is going to be LA Riot's level of heat, because that will be the third time that they have crammed him into that position. I mean, he didn't win it the last time. He almost won it against Triple H, but Triple H beat him. And in any other scenario, Triple H winning the belt at a Royal Rumble would have pissed people off. Like, you're not going to give it to one of the younger talents. You're going to give it to Triple H of all fucking people. But there's the problem. Triple H got it, and people were crazy about it because they are sick and tired of having Roman Reigns. God. So if Reigns goes on to the Rumble to win the Rumble, I mean, then you know exactly where it's going. But he's not going to win it, but he's still going to get in there against Brock. Yes, there is a 1 in a million chance they scrap that idea completely and Reigns doesn't end up taking him on. But it's pretty obvious, no matter how many times they go, well, no, they're kind of they're faltering a little bit. They don't think that it's going to be as big as they think. Maybe they're gonna. No, it doesn't fucking matter. The fact that they're saying that Paul Heyman was the reason why AJ won the belt because he was much higher on AJ Styles taking on Brock Lesnar. Why? Is it because squashing Jinder Mahal was going to do nothing for Brock? Brock has to beat somebody with a much higher caliber and prestige than anybody else? Specifically Jinder? Like, beating a glorified jobber is just going to make you look bad? You needed to beat somebody better? Like, it's maddening. But, I mean, I guess in the long run, it is what it fucking is. I mean, what are you going to do? It's going to ride it out. I look forward to some surprises tomorrow night. Like, I'm hoping what I think is a done deal is, in fact, not a done deal, and there are things that are going to happen that I didn't predict. And that's going to be... That's very hard for me to say, because I'm stubborn as fuck. I'm super goddamn pig-headed, and I love being right. I generally am not a huge fan of being wrong. So being proven wrong with these matches tomorrow... Here's the thing. The ones that I'm more or less speaking about the 2 5-ways and the Lesnar match. Those 3, I'm interested to see where they go with them, and I'm okay with maybe shenanigans happening that tweak them a little bit and change what I think is an obvious outcome. But it's going to come somewhere else, I'm sure. It's going to come from some other match that, like, the Usos are going to get, like, Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin are going to interrupt the Usos match, and it's going to be a problem there. Or maybe the were once Bludgeon Brothers but no longer are, Harper and Rowan, are going to come out there and do something. Who knows? There's also a little interesting tidbit with the way Shane McMahon is being built into this thing. Like, is he genuinely upset with Shane so much so that he might ruin the whole thing? Because as much as you can call it a heel turn, Daniel Bryan is one of those people that where he goes, the fans go. So wherever he decides to side, that's where people are going to go. And I mean, to have that kind of power and that be that over when you don't even wrestle anymore, like, just try to wrap your head around that. But he could also be a red herring. He could be, quote unquote, in the mix, just as a way to distract you and have everybody be like, yeah, no. But who knows? I mean, that is the one thing we do have to love about this business, is just because we think it's a foregone conclusion and it's guaranteed to be this way, doesn't mean it is. Especially with old man Mac in there fucking pushing the buttons. He's the one who's going to turn around and say, I want this changed. Tonight, somebody else wins instead of who I want. But wait, that doesn't make any sense. Because if he says he wants this person to win instead of this person, then that person's the one that he wins. And I don't even... Look, after watching NXT TakeOver tonight, I'm high on wrestling. Like, I feel I'm reminded of why it is that I love it. I love the physicality. I love the stories, the characters. Like, the story that was Aleister Black against the Velveteen Dream was fantastic. Something very simple. There's something extremely simple about say my name. You will acknowledge me. And Aleister Black saying he's a child throwing a temper tantrum, and the way you handle that is you don't react. You don't look at them. You don't give them attention. You just let them work themselves into a fit, and that's it. And the fact that they kept going with that, it worked so well. And I mean, the War Games match was good. The Women's Fatal 4-Way, I have a couple of issues with it, mainly because I feel like it was a little too hectic. It was a little too rushed. I feel like they put a little bit too much into, we need as many high spots as possible that aren't over-the-top high spots. You know, no tables, no anything like that, but it seemed too much of rush to get this person's shit in, rush to get this person's shit in. Not to mention, I really feel like Ember Moon got majority of everything, and then she won. And it's a little unfortunate that it wound up being basically a showcase for her. Mind you, I predicted she was going to win because she was clearly the choice when Asuka left. Like, she was where they were going to go with it. Peyton Royce, I think, if she doesn't get called up beforehand, definitely has the potential. But the thing is, she's got to get called up beforehand so they can stay, her and Billie Kay can stay the iconic duo. Because you can't have them split to fight over the title, which obviously is going to happen if Royce gets the belt. You can't have them split and then have them come back to being best friends on the main roster. I mean, you can, obviously. They like to just sort of... There. Now you can't tell it was even there. Whatever that storyline was over in NXT, we don't even know. It didn't happen. But you just, logically, you can't do it. Nikki Cross, I don't know. I don't see her as the type of person who can carry the belt because she just seems too... Not that, I mean, the loose cannon thing is her gimmick, so I don't have an issue with that. I just feel like it's not a good gimmick for a belt. I feel like she's a good chaser for the belt, but I don't know if she's necessarily a good belt holder. If that makes any goddamn sense. And Kairi Sane, as much as I love Asuka, I love Hideo Itami, I love Shinsuke Nakamura, as much as I love all of these people, and I do love Kairi Sane, I don't think they should have given it to her, especially not immediately after Asuka. So I'm glad to see that she didn't get it, and I'm glad to see that she actually got a few spots in and everything too. It did a good job of making her look good, and I think seeing her battle for it is going to be a good idea as well. It's going to be, fun to watch. Because she's tough, and she puts on phenomenal matches. And that elbow drop is amazing. The Lars Sullivan and Cassius Ono, the dead bud, him, the quote-unquote knockout artist. His match with Lars Sullivan was good. It actually did a great job of just really cementing Lars as an animal. He's a brick wall with a sneer and no hair. Not that a brick wall has hair, but he just gobbles up competition and spits out the bones. He's exactly the way that he's built, the way that he should be built. A monster that isn't a gimmick monster, but is in fact a genuine monster. He is terrifying. And the fact that he used his strength as well as he did on a guy as big as Ono being 260, 265, impressed the shit out of me. I'm also impressed with the fact that Ono actually put him over. Not that I think Ono's a bad guy and wouldn't do that, just I was a little surprised. I expected shenanigans, honestly. I thought it was going to be some kind of disqualification or a countout or something. Like maybe Ono hits one of his KO shots and Sullivan gets knocked out of the ring and then ends up backing away like, you'll get yours. And then when, the match gets thrown out or he gets counted out or something, then Sullivan comes back in the ring and murders him. But no, wound up being a legit, clean, in the middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3. And I do have to agree with other people in the podcast universe. Sullivan needs a better finisher, because that weird... My buddy Scott, when we used to backyard wrestle, his original finisher, called the Teardrop, was supposed to be like a Uranagi. It was, supposed to be like that, or essentially a rock bottom. He stopped hooking it like a rock bottom and started hooking underneath the armpit, around the side, and picking them up because he could get a little bit higher, and it added to the impact part of it. That's basically what Sullivan does. It's a sidewalk slam kind of spinebustery thing, and I think he needs something else. The thing is, I don't know what to give him, because he's agile, but he's not a flyer agile. He's not a runner that's going to do a lot of sprinting based moves. He needs to do something that is just raw power, which I guess this move is. But I don't know, I feel like it needs something. He needs something with a little bit more impact. I'd like to see him do the black hole slam, honestly. Maybe do the standing black hole slam, which is not a whole lot different than what he does, but he picks up and spins out with it, so it has that much more oomph. But maybe they're just letting him keep it because he could legitimately do it to anybody. So that could probably be why they're keeping it. And I've seen it both ways with the Andrade Cien Almas and Drew McIntyre match, that I've seen McIntyre shoot injured, and that's probably what led to the ending being the way it is, or that the ending was supposed to be that way anyways, but Drew wound up getting hurt also. And I've also seen that it's a work. It's fake. It's bullshit. He's not actually hurt. He's just selling that he's hurt to make it seem like that much bigger of a deal. Leader of the Secret Jabroni Society on Facebook, Russell, he has stated that he thinks that he's going to be out of action, Drew McIntyre that is, going to be out of action for the foreseeable future, only to come back at the Royal Rumble as a surprise entrant, and then, go on to make it to the top 4. A not unbelievable concept, but I feel like he's going to need he's going to need his rematch before that point. Just because that seems to be the way NXT champions roll. I mean, maybe not Bobby Roode, because Bobby Roode lost his belt and then never came back, but it's funny. I'm going to backtrack a little bit here, and speaking about, loving wrestling, I listened to the Sam Roberts Wrestling podcast, which is funny because I gave him so much shit the first time I saw him on WWE on a panel, because I was like, he's hideous, and he talks kind of like this. And I was like, why? Did we need that to represent us as wrestling fans? Oh my god. But I listened to him, I realized, number one, he has been a fan for a long time. Number two, he loves the business. Number three, he's got powerful opinions without being too far one way or the other. See, the problem is, these days, there are very, 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 very many of us, me, Mr. NSFWs, that make wrestling podcasts where the whole idea is just to open up the cheeks and drop shit all over the product, while still simultaneously watching it and trying to talk about how much they love it. See, Sam Roberts makes me feel bad for disliking so much about WWE, because he's right. As fans, we should embrace what we love about the product, despite the fact that Vince McMahon doesn't even give a shit about what we love about the product anymore. He doesn't. He's just there to sell the ticket and the t-shirt and the foam finger and the fake belt and the plastic cup. He's just there to make money off of the child and the casual fan that want to be part of this little tribe. Those of us that are in love with wrestling and have loved it for a long ass time, we actually hinder his idea of what makes the business, what makes it marketable. He wants us out of the picture. So the more he continues to destroy what brings us to the game, the better off he'll be financially. And I know I just said I feel bad about being, about shitting all over it, and then started shitting all over it. But I can't not in this case, because I love wrestling. I loved wrestling before I did it. I loved it even more when I started, and even now that I don't, but all I do is pick up a microphone and start talking mad shit about it, I still love it. And I will defend it much like I'll defend music and anything else that I'm passionate about. If I really, really, really am passionate about it and love it, I will defend it, and I will tell you, your opinion is valid and you're allowed to feel the way you feel, but wrestling to me is special. It's important. These larger-than-life people performing things that half of us only wish we could do, and getting reactions out of a crowd of people that it's genuinely pulling out a reaction. It's like performing on stage, no matter how you do it. It is performing on a stage. It's essentially a play where everybody does their own stunts. And I don't want to say it's incomparable, because you can compare it to a lot of things I just did. It's just very difficult to... Honestly, if somebody's not into it, they're not going to be into it. And honestly, if they're not into it, they're probably not listening to me talk about it right now. Robert's positivity just... It makes me want to look at the brighter side of things. I'm going to try tomorrow night to really look at the brighter side and try to really focus on any and all of the positives that could be ridiculous and maybe even a little annoying in a lot of cases, but are still just good. The overall good of wrestling. The plus side is, with no real belts on the line, there is not going to be a title that changes hands that's going to set in motion some huge bullshit domino effect. However, there is the potential for shitty finishes. There's the potential for things that just end up making one person look bad compared to the other. And there's also the potential for matches to just not live up to their own hype. And you have my guarantee that if they don't live up, or something shady or shitty goes down, I'm going to complain about it. I am definitely going to say something, and I'm definitely going to let people know that I disapprove. And even though I'm a piddly little no-namer, I am going to say that if you haven't listened to Sam Roberts' wrestling podcast, you should, because it's fun. He's got a bit about being upset back beforehand. I mean, I haven't gotten far enough into the future to hear if he's really upset about it now, but talking about things with the Wyatts, or specifically Bray Wyatt losing something, and if he loses a match, then Sam is going to go into the building and burn it to the ground. And I appreciate that as a Wyatt fan, because they have just dumped all over Wyatt, and it's not right, and it's not fair. I know, who gives a shit, but I do. You should definitely listen to that. I mean, as a wrestling fan, you owe it to him and you owe it to yourself. Likewise, you owe it to him and you owe it to yourself to listen to JR and Chris Jericho and Stone Cold Steve Austin, who happens to probably be my favorite. And like the originator in Colt Cabana with The Art of Wrestling, like that's one of my favorites too. And there's other ones on YouTube, like I watched JD from NY do Off the Script, and I like that podcast as well. Though admittedly he's more abrasive than I am, just as, if not more negative than I am, and seems to think that it's not a hindrance for him furthering himself as a pro wrestling commentator or a pro wrestling podcaster or anything like that. I mean, we can sit here and bitch and moan about the product and just downplay how terrible it is and talk up ourselves all we want, but in the long run, massive audiences, they like negativity, but they don't want that much. They don't want those of us who can't watch Raw or SmackDown without spending the entire time getting irate. And this is not necessarily a dig against him. This is me being self-aware as well, that I am far too negative, especially about dumb shit. The fact that the champion comes out first is a big deal to me, but in the grand scheme of things, what the fuck does that matter? The match could be incredible. Like, Dave Meltzer gives it 18.5 stars. And I'm still going to bitch about the fact that the champ came out first. But that's my way of saying, don't take it seriously with me. I mean, you know that there's genuine anger there, especially when I'm saying you buried the wrong fucking Samoan and things like that. But, again, it's genuine passion, and it's genuine frustration with the fact that as an armchair booker, we all think that we know what's best for business. But do we? Or do we know what's best for us to watch? Like, it's always what we think is the best thing to watch. And it's always because we think it's the best. Obviously, everybody else is going to agree with us. And if they don't agree with us, they can go fuck themselves. That's fine. Absolutely think that way if that's what you want to do. But that is not fair to celebrate it like you are smarter than WWE writers. Though, spoiler alert, you probably are. Because I know I am. So I'm going to make that my mission for tomorrow night, to try to watch it with a more, I can't say open mind, because I'm not necessarily closed-minded. It's just, I'm going to try to watch it from a more, I really love everything about wrestling perspective. I'm not going to go complete sugarcoating with it, because I'm just not going to. That's not me. I can't. If I see things in matches that piss me off, they're going to piss me off, and I'm going to make note of them. If I see things that are phenomenal, I'm going to talk about them too. I will celebrate the celebrations, and I will absolutely destroy that which needs to be destroyed. That which needs to go fucking tits up. I'm gonna fucking say something about it. And I'm not saying that like it's a threat. I know I'm saying it in a threatening manner, but it's not a threat. Not even a promise. It's just, it's what I'm gonna do. And your homework should be to just try to enjoy more of it if you can. But also, don't take any guff from the swine. If they start doing things that are like really questioning your intelligence or my intelligence, our intelligence in general, then obviously they should be informed that they're questioning our intelligence, and that's not how you treat customers. That's not how you win fans. So I think for now, I'm gonna hightail it out of here. I'm gonna look forward to watching Survivor Series tomorrow. I just hope it's not super predictable, and I hope that it's enjoyable. I am looking forward to it, but I don't want to get my hopes too high up, because every time I start to think this is the big one, WWE goes and lets me down. So I'm thinking I'm going to look forward to it and watch it as a wrestling fan and enjoy it, but I will by no means celebrate it like it's the greatest thing to happen to wrestling in the last, 10 years. Though I say that, it could be. Silver lining right off the get-go is Samoa Joe and Shinsuke Nakamura in the same ring again. Shinsuke Nakamura and Finn Balor in the same ring again. Now, the downside to that is Shinsuke Nakamura in the same ring as Braun Strowman. It was nice knowing him. I mean, he was a fantastic guy. One hell of a worker, one hell of a charismatic son of a bitch. All right, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to try to just squeeze a little bit more love out of wrestling, and specifically out of the WWE, because if you're watching stuff like ROH or New Japan, you're watching New Japan, god fucking damn. I finally found my way to almost finishing the G1. I know I'm way behind on that one, but god, I've turned into such a huge Kenny Omega mark. I'm gonna say that with no shame, because the man is fucking phenomenal. We talk about him coming to the WWE like, he's not gonna come to the WWE. And I don't know if I'd like him to, because I don't know if he'd be able to be himself, or if they'd want to rewrite him somehow. I would hope that they'd bring him in and let him just do his thing. So, seriously, watch, listen, enjoy. Tell your friends about my podcast. Unless your friends happen to be a lady that works at a convenience store that has a 7-year-old son. I know that seems really specific, and that's because your old pal, Mr. NSFW, tried to sell the podcast to somebody. He was talking to one of his friends about his podcast and about how nobody listens to it. And a woman that was there said that her son would listen to it. And I'm like, oh, well, please put him on to Muta Scale Radio. It's on YouTube. We are on YouTube, by the way. We're also on Facebook and Spreaker. That's a new one. And I said, oh, send him to YouTube and everything. And then as I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, wait, you said your son. Hey, how old is your son? She's like, oh, he's 7. There it goes. Bomb the interview. I'm like, yeah, that piece of paper that you just wrote Muta Scale Radio on, you just rip it up and throw it out. My intro starts off with the motherfucker took a shit in a backpack not once but twice. I mean, there's a million and one reasons why this is not for somebody that's 7 years old, unless your parents really don't care. In which case, who am I to complain? But those of you who have older, legal friends and family members, tell them about the podcast. Please. Be your friend. No, we're already friends. You know that. I love you. So for now, Mr. NSFW is going to skedaddle. So everybody enjoy your night or your day, your week, your month, your year. Enjoy all of it. Enjoy your holidays, even though I'll probably be back sometime before then. Enjoy your Thanksgiving, because I won't be back before then. So on behalf of those of us here at Muta Scale Radio, a.k.a. just me, goodbye and good night.